it going.
All right, man.
Let's go.
What's up? This is a special episode. One, because I'm not back in Chicago like usual. And two, we got a special guest that's coming on later.
That's right.
So that's always good. So what are you cracking over there?
So I have this beer. It caught my eye on the shelf, but it is a limited release from this brewery here in San Diego. It's called Second Chance Beer Company. It's a sour, and it's called Fistful of Gummies. And it's got kind of like, it's looking like a Sour Patch Kid design on there. On the side, it says that, it's reminiscent of your favorite sour candy, slightly sour with bright raspberry, blueberry notes. Second Chance is a smaller, but they're expanding San Diego brewery. I know just in like 2019, they started to branch up into like LA. They started going out into Arizona. I'm not sure if they're out anywhere near the Midwest yet, but they're rather new. They started in 2015. They got a lot of really nice, easy drinking beers as well. This is the first time I've seen they've done like a sour or a limited release, so I'm pretty excited about this one. I'll crack it open here.
Nice. I actually have a sour as well. I've been into those lately. So let us know how the thing tastes. Yeah.
It's not like crazy sour, like tart, but it's really good. It definitely tastes like the blueberry notes, and it does taste like you took some like Sour Patch gummies and soaked it in a beer. It's not bad. I think I looked up the score. I think on Untapped, I think it got like a 3.9, something around that.
That's not bad. That's not bad for a sour.
And 5%. And it says, this one is brewed for all the lovers of both sweet and sour. This fruit kettle sour combines lush flavors of raspberries, blueberries with a sour finish for a brew that is nothing short of liquid gummy candy. Not bad, actually. Not bad at all. Limited release.
And that was from Second Chance.
Mm-hmm.
Second Chance out in San Diego.
What do you got?
So I actually have a sour as well. It's a little bit of a theme, I guess, on this episode. It's called Taste the Rainbow. It's by Jagged Mountain Craft Brewery out in Denver. It is like a sour Skittles. So it's lemon, lime, strawberry, and orange. I got a big crowler here.
We got like a battle of who's got the best candied sour.
Who's got the best candied sour? This is good. It's not like, it's not super sour. It's very sweet, more sweet than sour, but it tastes like you're eating a bag of Skittles. I kind of like it. We'll see if I can make it through this whole crowler here before the end of the episode. I mean, this thing is massive and kind of interesting note. Like you see crowlers everywhere you go now.
Yeah. But
it was something that was created in Colorado, actually. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Really?
And then, And so Jagged Mountain is downtown Denver. That's where I picked this one up at. I've been to a couple of breweries around here lately and over the past couple of days. And my main takeaway, especially from a food standpoint, is that they love green chili out here. I don't know if you've had Colorado green chili, but it's like literally everywhere. Mac and cheese. They put it on burgers. They put it on I had a green chili beer at Wind Coop Brewing today. It was just like, you put it in the beer even. They're just like in love with this stuff. And it's good. I mean, I like it a lot. So I can see why.
I feel like that's a big thing in New Mexico as well. They like their chilies and green chilies out there as well.
Right.
But I don't think I've ever had a beer from New Mexico. Maybe that's next time.
Next time if one of us is traveling out there or something. But this Wind Coop Brewing too caught my eye when I was looking for a spot to check out as well, because it was Colorado's first craft brewery / brew pub. So what year do you think they founded that in? Like when was the first craft brewery in Colorado, in Denver?
First craft brewery in Denver. Yeah. I'm going to say it's a while back because I feel like Denver's been on that scene for a while. I'm going to go like 1984.
That's actually a decent guess. It's in 1988, which I thought, that's pretty, I mean, it's not that long ago that was the first craft brewery. Coors Field's been there since, in Wind Coop's right by Coors Field. Coors Field's only been there since 1995. So, that whole area that's kind of built up and like modernized over there, it hasn't been there that long. 1988, actually, the first craft brewery in Chicago was Goose Island. So same year. So I thought that was interesting as well. They kind of both started around the same time. But Jagged Mountain is where this Sour Skittle beer is from. This brewery opened in 2013, and they say that they're brewing adventurous beers, out of a love for, adventuring and rock climbing and canyoneering and things like that. That's like their theme. And, I get it. I mean,
it fits in for Denver. I mean, you can go in the mountains and then it's like really hot right there. And you could probably drive 2 hours and be in the mountains and,
exactly
put on a jacket there. Very adventurous. Cool. Is it good?
This one,
you said it was good.
It's good. It's 3.79 on Untapped. I would give it a little bit higher score than that. I like it a little bit more, but that's the score that they gave it. And
that's what we're rolling with.
Yeah. So I've been out here, and a lot of these breweries have had the Olympics on TV. Have you been watching any of that?
Yeah, I've been pretty much, I'm on break right now for the summer and I've had it on all day, but the time difference is a little strange to me because I'll be looking on my social media and I'll see the results and then be like, yeah, it won't be aired until, 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock tonight. So that's kind of a bummer, but it makes sense when it's on the other side of the world.
Right. I mean, there's some new games that I'm like excited about for this year. Karate, skateboarding, sport climbing, and surfing were all new games for this year.
Yeah.
And then they added some disciplines in other sports, such as the 3-on-3 basketball and BMX freestyle. But I think just like, I love watching skateboarding. I could watch that all day. Sport climbing, something that, that I've been kind of getting interested in lately. I've been going the past few weeks. So I think that's gonna be cool to see the bouldering and speed climbing. And then surfing, I mean, you're out there in Cali, you do that, quite often too. So, I mean, I think that's all really, really cool. And the U.S. Woman won surfing. Yeah, the gold in surfing. So it's like, U.S. is already putting us on the map for being a big surfing culture out here, I guess. So I think that's cool that we already won that. But the one that I wanted to talk about right off the bat was the 3x3 basketball. Is that something that you're interested in? Because the U.S. men's team didn't qualify for it, but it's still something that I just want to keep watching.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And just go back a little bit. Do you see that? And skateboarding is really cool to watch. That 13-year-old from Brazil got like a silver medal, which was absolutely wild. Just, a 7th grader out there competing in the Olympics is just a crazy insane thought. And then I've been watching a little bit of the 3-on-3 as well. My big draw is usually for Summer Olympics. I enjoy beach volleyball, indoor volleyball. Table tennis is a wild watch if you haven't watched that. And then waiting for track and field.
Okay.
Track and field is like a big one. It's going to be strange without fans, but the 3-on-3 is cool. I feel like it's not as good as Ice Cube's rendition of it when he's doing the Big 3 league. It's weird. It's like a half court. They got to take it back and all, but
12-second shot clock, half court game.
Yeah.
1 point inside the arc, 2 points outside. It's just like rec league ball. And, a little bit more hacking because I think you can't foul out or anything too. And the games are only 10 minutes, first to like 21. So they're quick. I like that about it. I don't have to commit to a full game of Olympic basketball like we've seen lately with this team that just, they'll pull ahead and then blow it in the second half. I mean, I don't understand what's going on with the men's Olympic basketball team. Do you?
No, there's a lot of like, well, like they don't have the NBA refs now. So this is kind of like, these players are looking for the typical calls they get and they don't have them. Obviously there's a little different rules as well. You get 5 instead of 6. The court is a little shorter. You could goaltend kind of when the ball is above the cylinder. So the rules are a little bit different. And then, you have some American players saying like, these guys that are on these other national teams, this isn't how they play in the NBA. They're playing completely different, blah, 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 blah. I think it's more of a chemistry thing and more of an effort thing. I don't know. I still think USA is going to win the gold, even though they are losing. They've lost twice already to Nigeria, and then they went ahead and lost to France in their first actual Olympic game. But they just got those guys from the finals, so they're getting some practice in. Like Zach was on COVID protocol, so he's out of practice. And I think it takes time. Some of these national teams, they know these guys. They've played with these guys growing up. They probably were on the national team together when they were like 16, 17 growing up. So then they get back together and they got that, camaraderie, that like brotherhood. And then, the United States, it's, more of a mixed bag. You're not playing all together in those U18 National League games. So it's a little different. I mean,
Is the roster built? Do you think the roster built like the way it should be? Do you think it should just be throw all of our stars on the, make it like an all-star team? Or do you need more guys like they have JaVale McGee on the roster, Keldon Johnson? Those aren't like superstars, but they're guys that are going to get in there and they're going to do some dirty work, rebound, defense, things like that. Like, do we need more guys like that? Or you think just having a couple guys like that is all that they should need to be able to? I mean, they have the best players in the world, in my opinion, out of all these teams that they lost to Australia, Nigeria, and now France. So I'm concerned. I don't think they're going to win. I think they're going to run into somebody and it's going to be over. But we had a 25 game Olympic winning streak and they blew it.
Yeah.
So like just that alone, I'm just like, shit.
The Redeem team had to come back after that one. But yeah, it's a weird roster. They're missing some of the best players. LeBron's not there. James Harden, Kyrie, like some of the best players aren't over there. So it's a weird roster. It's a younger kind of roster. Durant, I feel like, is the old one in that team. And there's been like talk of like players not liking Popovich's system. It's just, when you lose everything, all the shit hits the fan. They haven't lost in, like you said, right, like 25 games, something like that. And I think they'll be fine. Like I said, I think they're still going to win gold. They will pull it together. Maybe it was a great wake up call, these 2 losses, to where they're now going to try harder. They're going to focus in practice and realize that this isn't something they could just show up to the gym and win. But bet your ass I'll be watching every game, waking up at like 3 a.m. to watch it.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that, obviously. And another thing that I think we should be keeping an eye on as Bears fans is Aaron Rodgers' new deal. And I mean, this has been getting a lot of hype in the media over the last like 2 days, is that Rodgers reporting to camp. Him and Devontae Adams posted on social media pictures of Jordan and Pippen. Did you see that?
Don't care.
Pictures from The Last Dance. You didn't see that? You don't care. You don't care at all. You're just kind of in your lane as the Bears. You should just be focused on your own thing. Don't worry about what's going on in the rest of your division.
No, I felt like this was what was going to happen. There was no way he was just going to like walk away or retire. Like, it's just, he's just putting on this big production and being kind of a diva, but he's allowed to. He's a great quarterback, but I just don't care. I just want games to start.
Right. So it sounds like he's going to have one more year there. They'll be able to trade him still. If he wants to trade next year, they'll be able to get something back for him. But, I think this sounds like it's going to be the last run for the Packers, which is going to be awesome for the Bears.
Right. He's getting like structure like Tom Brady, right, where he can get out next year and not have any restrictions or anything like that.
So exactly, like he's doing kind of what Brady did. And I think part of his conditions for him coming back to the team is probably get some guys like Randall Cobb or this Jake Kumaro guy who plays for the Bills now. He's going to bring those guys back in. I don't think that does anything to make their team that much better, but make him more comfortable. I don't know. I don't think they're going to win the whole thing. I think they're still probably the favorites to win the division. But I think this sets us up really well for Fields in his second year then. And I don't see why the Bears can't win the division next year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean? I'm like super happy that he's wanting to leave, but also, I mean, as long as we've been alive, the Green Bay Packers have had just like great quarterback play, and it sucks. And I'm ready for them to like go through a little bit of struggle and like have their fan base and have them realize that this isn't typical. You don't go from one Hall of Fame quarterback to another like that one season after another. It doesn't exchange like that. It's not usually how it happens. So welcome to adversity. Welcome to your first taste of like quarterback problems. We've been going through it our whole entire lives.
Yeah. I saw a crazy stat. The Bears have never had a quarterback that's thrown 30 touchdown passes in a season. Like
yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Andy Dalton this year.
Boom. I don't know. I think Dalton's going to get a game or two. I mean, we've talked about this, at length already, but I think Fields is going to be in there pretty quick, and I'm excited to see that happen in these preseason games. I can't wait for these just to see him out there on the field.
Yeah, it should be fun.
So, what else should be fun is our next guest. I'm really excited.
Let's do it.
To bring on our next guest. His name's Alex Zarek. He's done some amazing work for Oliver Francis, Lucky Boys Confusion, Let Down, Settle Your Scores, among many other bands. Alex, his Instagram handle is @AlexZarek. His website is alexzarek.com. I've known him his whole life. He's actually my cousin and a self-proclaimed creative individual out of the greater Chicago area.
What's up?
What's up, man? I can confirm that's a pretty accurate description of you and pretty humble
Yeah.
one. Thanks so much for coming on the pod. How you doing?
Oh, dude, I'm stoked. I didn't even know you did a podcast until I saw you like 2 weeks ago. So this is awesome.
Welcome, man.
This is awesome. Thanks
Yeah,
for
we're
having
getting
me.
after it. We're getting after it. Yeah, for sure, man. We're excited to have you. That's your cat there walking by?
That's my cat.
That's
There he
awesome.
is. He's trying to get some
For
attention
the
here.
show.
Right on. And I saw you were drinking a beer out of Colorado as well. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't have anything fancy. I've got Coors Light.
There we go. That
It's
is a
tried and
domestic
true.
draft. Yeah.
It's tried and true. You're talking all about Colorado. I mean, I guess I'm right there, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mountains
for
are
sure.
blue, ready to go.
For sure. So Alex, like I said, you're a creative individual, and obviously there's no denying that from looking at some of your work on your website, on your Instagram. But how would you describe what it is that you do?
So, I guess my elevator pitch or elevator speech in passing to people is typically something along the lines of, I shoot and direct music videos, but I also do other photo and design work as well, mostly within the music realm, but I do branch out every now and again. And, but yeah, it's mostly music related, all creative work. I'd say about 80-90% is probably in the video realm. And then I do photo and design as well that make up the rest. But yeah, lots of creative stuff in the music industry for sure.
So how did you get into the music? I know you were in a band yourself for a bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, and you know this, like my dad has played music for a long time. He plays music of the polka variety, as you know.
Right.
And so when I was 10 years old, I started playing drums because he had a drum kit that he had bought for the band he was in at the time and whatever. So I started playing drums then, got into, Adam is 6 years older than me and he was into some of the rock stuff. So he got me into that super early. And so I started playing music when I was as early as 10 years old, but it wasn't until, like high school into college that I was in some relatively serious bands. I mean, I was taking it seriously. And then, I always kind of had an eye for photo and video work, but I wasn't necessarily super involved with creating photo and video work. It is interesting though that you were mentioning skateboarding in the Olympics, because skateboarding is the reason that I ever got into filming anything in the first place. I used to be really into skateboarding. And that's kind of what led to like the start of me shooting and editing videos in general. And then that paired with music eventually ended up, me getting a camera and doing music videos, kind of for fun, kind of for experience. And then it really has turned into a career more or less, which is insane to say. And I'm grateful for it, but it is crazy to think about.
That's awesome. So were you pretty much then, it sounds like you're self-taught, or was this something that you had an education on or a mentor, or was this grab equipment, go and just figure it out?
So it's a mix of all of it. So when I was in college, I was interning for some record labels and I was doing some interesting stuff there. And I experienced like kind of more of like a DIY music video set type of thing, because the label I was working for at the time had an in-house team that did most of the music videos for the label. And I was like, I didn't really understand that it could be done in that fashion. I pictured Hollywood sets and 50 people, 50 person crews and whatnot. And there was these dudes doing it with like 2 or 3 people. And I was like, yo, this is like something I could actually picture myself doing. Like, and this was before I ever really did anything serious video wise. It was just kind of like, yo, this is really cool. And these guys seem stoked to be doing this. I'm stoked to be able to watch them do it. And then eventually I started doing a very similar thing myself. But to answer the other part of your question, I did go to ISU like you guys, and I studied arts technology, which is now called creative technologies, but it's essentially just like more of like a broad media based degree that deals with photo, video design, some web stuff, some coding, but it was just like a sampler platter into like the creative world that exists, today. And video and photo and design kind of ended up being the paths that I took, although I did learn a lot more than that in college as far as like, you know, little bits and pieces, but I definitely just felt gravitated towards photo and video stuff from the get-go for sure.
Nice. Solid.
So I think for most people, you know, like my favorite things, honestly, that you post, I mean, I love watching, you know, the clips of the music videos that you're working on too, but
yeah,
the behind the scenes work is really cool to see. Because like you mentioned, it's not like some big 50-person production thing. A lot of times it's like somebody taking a picture of you and like 2 other people, and some of the like things that you guys are just doing on your own, really, with, you know, just a couple bodies. I'm just like amazed when I see the final product. But I guess something that Dan and I were talking about before you hopped on here was, you know, like the creative process. And when you approach like a new music video project, is it like, does the band approach you first, I would assume, and then, you know, like, do they have an idea, or do you?
So, yeah, I mean, it depends. Everything is a little, you know, it's a case by case thing, but on the more like local level with, you know, either bands that are just getting started off or bands that are still kind of at that local level, a lot of the times it'll be like, hey, like we like this video that you did for this band, or we saw this other band did a video and we like this, or whatever. It's usually there's some sort of point of reference that these artists are coming with on that level. It's like, you know, on the DIY level, it's like everybody, you're paying for your own stuff. So it's like, okay, we're paying for our own video. We want to do our own ideas, this and that. Maybe there's not a label involved, whatever. And so like, that being said, it's like, I actually like that more. I like being approached with an idea that I'm challenged to execute. I mean, I do come up with, you know, my own concepts and my own stuff. And I usually end up having to amend the band's ideas in one way or another, because, you know, if you aren't, you know, video minded and that stuff, it's not always easy to know what is practical and what is doable within a certain budget. So it's like, sometimes, you know, a band will be like, oh, we want to do this, this, and this. And it's like, they have this amount of money. It's like, okay, we can kind of get that idea, but we're going to have to adjust this to be maybe more of like a metaphorical thing or whatever. It's a lot of my job preliminary going into a shoot is kind of breaking down the idea and making it work within like the time frame and the budget that we have. I mean, I tell people this all the time. It's like, I like working on the DIY level, but that also comes with a couple of, you know, obstacles in that, you know, there's not always a great budget. There's not always a lot of resources. So it's like part of the challenge, and honestly, the fun of it is problem solving both beforehand and in the moment, just kind of taking an idea that might seem super grandiose and super bizarre, and then honing it in to a way that we can execute it, make it effective, but not like totally break the bank for some of these guys that are frankly younger than me, much younger than me in some cases. And so it's definitely different every time, but that's kind of like a general overview of it.
Right. Yeah. And I looked at a lot of on your website and saw some of your videos, and the one that caught the first one, Meet Me at the Altar. And I looked at it, it's got like close to like 400,000 views. And then the label Fueled by Ramen, and that just sparked right away in my head. That's a label that I am familiar with and growing up. You know, bands like the Gym Class Heroes Academy is on it, Fall Out Boy is on there, Dashboard, Yellow Card. Is there like a specific genre that you enjoy working with, or is this kind of just happenstance that you're working with a lot of like rock or punk pop or what, pop punk, whatever you call it, or is this by choice?
So I say, you know, when people ask me what type of music I work in or like to work in, so anything like in the alternative realm is kind of what I prefer. Like that can be something as, you know, as accessible as pop punk or pop rock. But then I also really enjoy some of the heavier stuff, metalcore, deathcore, things like that. So it depends on, you know, the scenario, but I tend to like to work in things that involve bands. I do like working with solo artists and rappers and hip hop artists, but something about working with bands is what really draws me. And I like the idea of, okay, we have 5 people in a band and we want to, you know, put them here, have them play here, or and really you're first and foremost in charge of making them as a unit like look cool. And for some reason that's just like that's very
right.
You're really good
appealing
at
to me
that though. You are.
Thanks,
You're really
man.
good. And you know what else I noticed is that like you kind of give everyone screen time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everybody gets their look,
Mhm.
you know, and like sometimes back in the day when we used to watch MTV, we'd see, you know, you just see like the main, you know, the singer, and that like
Yeah.
everybody else was kind of in the background and you didn't really notice
Mhm.
them. But in all your videos, I
Yeah.
think you do a really good job of really highlighting everybody and what they're doing. And
Thanks.
that's really cool.
Get a
Yeah.
cool band photo and brick wall in the background.
Oh yeah. The classics,
The
dude.
classics.
You know about it.
Yeah,
I know what you're
different
saying.
levels. Yeah.
Yep.
But Evan mentioning MTV had a question going into this, and I'm just curious because in my mind, like music videos had their peak and their heyday, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was like, you know,
Mhm.
90s, early 2000s, TRL,
Yeah.
like on TV.
Yeah.
But bands are still wanting to make music videos. They're still being produced, and
Yeah.
like, what is the draw there, or is there a future there? I mean, they're not really on TV anymore. Like those
Right.
channels don't exist. So like, what is
Right.
the goal when these artists come to you and they're like, we need a music video because of what?
So a lot of and sorry to cut you off. Do you
No,
have
go
more?
ahead. No, I was gonna
Yeah.
say,
So
like, is it just YouTube or is there more?
yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of things, and even I guess over the last year or so with TikTok becoming massive too, that comes into play. But a lot of it comes to, you know, a newer band, being able to represent themselves visually, you know, in a somewhat creative way, where a fan or a potential fan can go to YouTube or be scrolling through their Instagram or whatever, TikTok, I guess now, and be able to put like an identity and a face with the name of the band. It's like the image, and it sometimes it stinks because image is extremely important. It's like, obviously, right, you know, a band made up of, you know, people that look a certain way or people that have a certain style, like that plays a lot into how their videos and their music is perceived. So it's like a lot of times music videos serve as like almost like a, you know, okay, it's and right now, honestly, the most important part of that is, you know, you're scrolling through Instagram, you'll get a targeted ad or a sponsored post, and then it'll pop up and it'll be a clip of a video. And it's like, you know, sometimes it takes, you know, 5-10 seconds of a music video to kind of pique interest in a band or a group or an artist. But also it's another thing too. It's like, oh, like people like to know what the artists they listen to look like, how their energy is, what kind of styles they have, because, you know, outside of shows, that's really the best way that you get that. It's like, yeah, photos and other little things like that, like they do give you a perception or like I guess a perceived idea of what that artist is like or what they're into. But something about music videos, I think, holds a special place in that market, just simply because it is like, really, other than shows, the only way that you'll, you know, see that artist in action. Whether, I mean, obviously music videos, when you record them, like nobody's actually playing and it's used the studio audio or whatever, but like, you know, it is a very important thing still, maybe not in like the mainstream way like it was, like MTV, like you said, and TRL and
right,
VH1 and all those, you know, that mainstream success that music videos had. Like, it's not what it was at that point, and it's a lot more accessible to kind of just about anyone. It's like, you know, back in the day, you would hire a film crew and a production company to shoot a music video. It's like now, and I'm living proof of that, you can hire a guy with the camera and someone to bring some lights, and you can make a well-produced, you know, piece of work, because cameras that shoot good stuff are way more accessible now than they were even 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure like MC Hammer still has one of the most expensive music videos of all time. Like
Oh,
even like from the appreciation value or whatever. I think it's like over, $6 million for one music video.
And that's insane. I mean, that's forever going to be a huge amount of money for a music video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw you were at Wicker Park Fest, right?
I was, yeah.
That was last weekend. That's like right by where I live now. So I thought that was
really
okay.
Cool. I didn't know you lived over there.
Yeah, I'm in like the edge of Bucktown, Wicker Park, Logan Square, kind of in that pocket over there. Nice. So a little bit north of where you're at. But so were you shooting for Letdown? Was that like behind the scenes stuff for them?
Yeah. So that was actually the first show for that artist. But
really?
Speaking of TikTok, he's like famous on TikTok.
Really? Because it was packed there, man. There was a lot of people. I mean, Wicker Park Fest draws a crowd in general, but that seemed like there was a lot of people there, to see him perform. Was. Yeah, so that was really cool. I saw.
Yeah, dude, it was, and then it got rained out, dude. Like their set was like cut short, and then none of the other bands after them got to play.
Oh, it sucks.
It was like torrential downpour, dude. I felt so bad for everybody that was supposed to play after.
Yeah. So did he just like kind of bring you with, or you guys are just buddies and you were kind of just shooting some behind the scenes stuff while he did his thing, or? So
yeah, it was a little bit of that. I had gotten connected with him like late last year, and then we've done 2 music videos together, but and then I've done some of his artwork and stuff too. But he is someone, and this is a super unique thing that we've never seen before. It's like bands or artists that became big and commercially successful amid a pandemic where they couldn't play shows. Like his project more or less blew up during the pandemic. So like, that project's about 2 years old. The pandemic's been going on for about a year and a half. Like his whole success is rooted in TikTok, which also became popular amid the pandemic.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And so
that is incredible.
It's insane to picture and experience this. Like, maybe there wasn't a ton of people that knew the lyrics or like knew who he was, but it was like, yo, this dude became, big and popular on TikTok and is now, I mean, his first show was Wicker Park Fest. Wicker Park Fest is one of like the best street festivals in Chicago. That's a huge first show to play.
Yeah, that is insane. And I think that speaks volumes to kind of what you're doing still. And, Dan kind of touched on like our generation, we're a little bit older than you. And, and I mean, even you grew up watching MTV and the music videos and things like that.
Yeah.
But now they don't have that anymore. And, I'm on my phone more than I watch TV, to be honest. And I think most people are. So that's where, the accessibility of having these on TikTok or on Reels on Instagram or whatever, YouTube, is huge. So I think, that speaks volumes to kind of what you're doing, especially if this, if he's only been around for a couple of years here and amidst the pandemic already built this huge following and is playing a big show. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. And it's awesome to be a part of like things from the ground up too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That whole TikTok thing, man. I work with a lot of young people as well, and they're always on TikTok. But then, also like K-pop is so popular with young people.
Oh, I know.
You look at those music videos, and they have like 1 billion views.
I know.
And like those music videos are just like half-second like shots, bright colors, and just like new wardrobes every other scene.
Yeah.
Is there like crazy, is that like an algorithm that they have figured out there of like what people like and attention and how quickly you can have a scene and how you got to change color and costume? Is that like any of your artists are like, hey man, we need like a lot of views here. Like, how could we get views? Or is it more of like an artistic process?
I mean, dude, it's crazy. Like the stuff that becomes popular now and the stuff that can become popular is so crazy. Like there's so much more room for so many more people to be popular and be hyped up and on fire, with publicity and stuff, because we aren't limited to, okay, whatever's shown on MTV is popular and whatever isn't, nobody knows about.
Right.
So it's like, it's weird. And I think we're like, the first, or I guess kind of second generation to live in a world where there's so much access to all of this entertainment all the time. And it's like, music and film and TV and all that stuff is just as important as it always was, but it's so much more accessible. Like artists are a dime a dozen now, whereas like, yeah, like it was hard to like know of local bands 15 years ago when the internet wasn't, you know, shoving hundreds of them in your face every day.
Right.
You know, and it's yeah, but to answer your thing about the K-pop stuff, it's like some of it is like the, you know, the formulaic algorithmic stuff, but there's, you know, there's money going into ads behind the scenes. There's, you know, these people know what they're doing, you know, being able to navigate ad campaigns and ad placements online to just put this stuff in front of so many people just day in and day out on all these platforms. And it's like,
it's wild.
If you have money, you can put your stuff in, anybody could put their stuff in front of a bunch of people. And it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. So does that, I guess, do you not like that part of it? Or if there was one part of like the music industry in general that you know, wish you could change or that you don't like do you have anything like that? I mean, I'm sure you love everything that you do. But like, is there anything that just kind of like, sometimes you're just like,
a little off-putting?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? It just sucks because there's not always like, well, first of all, things are never fair. It's like all of my favorite artists will never be as big as artists that are celebrated via radio or whatever commercial success. And that's just how it goes. Like, right. This stuff that becomes popular and has a lot of money behind it isn't always the stuff that, you know, and I'm obviously one person, but it's not always the stuff that I think deserves it. But that's just the way it goes. It's like the mainstream can only consume a certain amount of stuff to that capacity. It's like, yeah, I may like heavy music that, you know, has a lot more rougher vocals that you would never hear on the radio, and people, I guess, like people that are into the mainstream stuff would never be into that. But it's also, you know, that's the thing that I guess bothers me a little bit, but I get it though. It's like, I understand why the world isn't as in love with the stuff I listen to as they are with like Taylor Swift, Post Malone or whatever. And I love all the stuff that is popular. Yeah. Accessibility is a huge thing. And it's like, that's just something that I accept. I mean, the thing about the music industry is like, you know, there's so many levels to it where it's like, I've made a career out of working with bands that probably 90% of people have never heard of. And it's like, there's so much going on, even at a smaller level. And, you know, and up from there, it's like, dude, it's awesome. On the other hand, and the flip side of what I said about what I don't like, it's like, there are so many artists doing amazing things at the local level, at the regional, national, international levels that, you know, like I said, they're doing amazing things. And it's like, there's just so much to go around, and there's so much at our fingertips with Spotify and streaming and all that stuff. And the music industry is actually, believe it or not, making more money than it ever has because of streaming.
Yeah, not the artist, but the industry itself, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends. It depends. But yes, the industry itself is the most profitable it's ever been.
So one thing, and then we can get you out of here pretty quick. But one thing that when you were talking there of like artists that aren't as well known, and I knew, and I looked at your bio and saw you did work with an artist that we know, and people maybe of our age might know a little bit more, but Lucky Boy's Confusion.
Oh yeah.
I saw you shot a documentary about kind of like, what was it, like the 20th anniversary
of one of the records.
One of their records. I know for me, like Hey Driver by Lucky Boys on MVP so Baseball 2004. Like that was so good.
I love that.
But that must have been a wild experience.
Yeah, dude. So, you know, I guess 2017 is when I started kind of doing stuff with them, but it was more so like, oh, I'll show up to a show and I'll get in, and then, you know, I'll kind of give them a show recap or photos or whatever. But I started to develop relationships with the singer and a couple of other guys in the band, where like I kind of slowly became like their photo and video guy, it's awesome because, you know, my brother, who's 6 years older than me, and his wife, that's like the sound of their high school years. It's like wild to think about, like how those tables have turned. Adam used to, you know, go to these shows and see LBC, and like it was like they were these huge stars in this band, And it's like, those are my friends now. And it's like, it's wild to think about, but yeah, but I still do think about how grateful I am to have that opportunity and to have that relationship with them. Cause they are, I mean, they came up alongside Fall Out Boy and Plain White Tees, dude. Like, they came out of the suburbs of Illinois, and they're like a beacon for like Chicago local music. I mean, they still will sell out House of Blues or, you know, play to thousands of people at a street fest in Chicago. Like, they're a cherished band in the city that have changed a lot of people's lives. And it's like you said, the surrealism of just working with people that have had that much of an impact is really, really special.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I love Lucky Boys as well. I listened to them all throughout high school.
Good. So
cigarettes,
good.
Cigarettes. Yeah. I love that jam.
That was your song, man.
That's my song in high school. Yeah. Next time you talk to them, let them know.
Let them know.
Fuck yeah,
this
dude.
guy, Cigarettes.
Yeah,
it's my jam.
Hell yeah, dude.
So the last thing, you know, what's next for you? What are you working on right now? What are you releasing soon? I have a lot of, some of the stuff I can't talk about, but some of the stuff I can. I actually just finished up a full-length documentary that I shot last year pre-pandemic. And that's like, it'll be like my first like feature-length thing that I've done. And that, aside from that, just a lot of music videos, some travel stuff coming up, but the documentary is like kind of like the big thing right now. The goal really is just like to keep on doing it, always making it bigger and better, and just making the actual work itself bigger and better. The clients and the status and the reputation and all that stuff grows alongside just making the work better. And I'm starting to enjoy things a lot more than I had been for a while, just because I'm not so overworked. Like sometimes I would sit down and I'd be like, yo, I have eight music videos that I need to cut right now. Like, I don't know what to do. Like right now it's like, I don't have that much that I'm working on. So it's like, I shoot something, I enjoy it. And then I sit down and I'm able to work on it right away rather than being so backed up because I haven't been traveling.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, that documentary and then the music video stuff is really kind of what's next. Just as far as, you know, what I'm looking forward to or what I'm striving for is just bigger and better stuff, whatever that might mean. I just want to be doing bigger and better stuff all the time.
Oh yeah, man.
Just building a portfolio, having fun. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
awesome, man.
Yeah. And it, you know what, it really is a blessing to be able to do this and do this day in and day out. And it's like, I mean, you can get super sentimental about the fact that these videos, these songs, it changes people's lives, dude. And it's like, and it's fun and it's a cool industry. And it's like, I think about it and I talk about it all the time. And it's just like, man, like the same excitement that I have now is the excitement I had when I first started. And that's like when I know that I'm doing what I should be doing, you know?
Absolutely, man. So thank you so much for coming on and
this was
sharing
awesome,
your
man.
story. Really appreciated it.
Yeah.
Again, he is at Alex Zarek, AlexZarek on Instagram. His website is alexzarek.com. You got any other like Twitter or anything you want to shout out, Alex?
Yeah, actually, all of my stuff is just Alex Zarek. So
all right, at Alex Zarek. There you go.
Makes it easy.
Yeah. Thank you so much again for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Let's do this again sometime. Maybe all in the same room next time.
Yeah, definitely. This was awesome, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Have a nice rest of your night and good luck with the podcast. Appreciate you guys.
Man.
Peace.
Thanks, man.
See you later.
All right.
That was Alex Zarek. Again, Alex, you know, it's just unbelievable. I don't know anybody else that works in like music production and video production like that. So it was really cool to hear, you know, his thoughts on, you know, how that whole process works, because, you know, we see these music videos and that's it, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't really know the behind the scenes stuff.
A lot of stuff they said was just, you know, about how like you don't need a big crew anymore. And you look at his videos on his website and it's like, man, like this looks like it had a big crew and it looks like it was, you know, high production value. So he does a really good job. And it's fun to go to his website and kind of look at his work. He's got his videos, he's got some photos as well, and then does some like merchandise as well. So really cool guy, really
Yeah, reach out to him if you're looking for any kind of design work, or
maybe we'll do
videos.
like a domestic draft like trailer or like hype video or something.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you're looking for a little promotion there, definitely hit him up. Really,
for sure.
Really, really good stuff.
All right, man. Well, that's it. I think I'm. What episode is this?
I have 23? No idea. 23. I was hoping you would know. All right, 23, man.
I think
Bears
23.
are in training camp. Javi just had a walk-off hit the other night. Things are looking up with training camp, down with Cubs, but we'll talk about that later. Oh, I saw the new Space Jam. Sucked.
Yeah, sucks.
Talk about that later.
Yeah, and we'll put up a new Cubs article after all the trades are done with some grading of what Hoyer got done.
NBA draft coming up in 2 days too. So we'll have a lot of action coming up, but episode 23 in the books. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Peace.
Peace.